What's going on, everybody? This is Kerry Wood, sportsandswag.com. It is another edition of the Sports and Swag podcast. Thank you for joining me again. Man, let's talk about these NBA Finals that's coming up here Thursday night between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, I know, a broken record, and third consecutive season we've had the same matchup. Golden State taking the trophy in 2015 with that 4-1 victory over Cleveland. And then, of course, last season, that epic finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers coming back from 3-1 down to take out the Warriors in 7. You know, LeBron being able to fulfill his promise back to the city of Cleveland and the state of Ohio, bringing them back that championship. So, what's going to happen this season, 2017? What's going to go down? You know, what's going to be the narrative, man? What's a lot of storylines, of course. That's one thing that really makes this a really good thing, man. That we you know, if you want to look at a positive of us having this being the third consecutive finals between these two teams, there's a lot of history, of course. A lot of storylines. So that makes this finals very, very appealing, despite the fact it's the third consecutive time we've had it. So let's break it down. We're going to do it right here on Sports and Swag, man. Here on the podcast, we're going to talk about the guard play today. We're going to break it down into 3 podcasts here over the next couple of days. We're going to talk about guard play today. We're going to talk about Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving. We're going to talk about Klay Thompson and J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert and Sean Livingston, Darren Williams, and, you know, a guy like McCall or Clark that'll come off the bench for the Warriors. And then, of course, Kyle Korver. Everybody kind of, you know, probably assumes with, you know, Kevin Durant coming over, with all the ball players Golden State already had in their disposal, you know, that, you know, obviously Golden State was, you know, has the deeper team, has the better bench, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's at least even, and I think in a lot of cases probably I'd have to give Cleveland the edge. I have to give the Cavaliers the edge, especially in the backcourt. You know, there are a lot of guys that Tyronn Lue can bring off of that bench that can knock down 3-point shots. You know, he's got a couple guys that can get his own shot. One of them being Darren Williams, who seemed to hit the fountain of youth the other night in that clinching game over Boston. I mean, that was, man, we hadn't seen, you know, play like that from Darren Williams since the Utah days. I thought we were back, you know, I thought he was playing for the Jazz again. I mean, dude out there crossing people over and getting to the rim and finishing and knocking down a 3-ball. I mean, this dude he really looked good the other night. You know, I don't know if that's going to continue to that level, but now if it does, if it continues to that level, Golden State's going to have a problem. I mean, they're going to have enough to deal with Kyrie Irving and, you know, all the 3-point shooting that Cleveland can throw at them. So, you know, they add Darren Williams to that mix. I mean, look out. That's all I can say. Look out. But, again, like I said, we're going to talk about, you know, the backcourt here. You know, who has the advantage? To me, just me looking at it, man, I'm going to have to give Cleveland a slight edge. That's despite, you know, how good a player Steph Curry is. That's despite Klay Thompson. But let's talk about Klay Thompson for a quick minute. Let's talk about the guy that, you know, is called one of the best shooters ever, maybe, and definitely one of the best shooters of today. His stats are not quite the same. I mean, he doesn't look quite the same. You know, the Klay that we've been used to seeing over the last several years since he's been in the league. And I think there's a reason for that. I think his comfort zone has been It just doesn't have it like he used to. He's not getting the same shots. You know, he may be getting the same number of shots, at least close to it. Probably not a big dip in that. But, you know, when Kevin Durant came over, man, when they signed him on free agency over the summer, coming into this season, you knew someone was going to take a hit. Someone had to, unless Kevin Durant, unless he was going to come in and take 10 shots and, you know, average 15 points a game or something like that. Somebody was going to take a hit, Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. And that's exactly what's happening. You know, Klay Thompson doesn't have the ball in his hand as much as Steph Curry does, so naturally he's going to be the guy that's going to take the hit. And like I say, it may not be a huge hit as far as in the number of attempts that he's getting, but where he's taking the hit, where it's taking his toll is the type of shots that he's getting. He's not getting those wide open looks that he used to get. He's not getting them in the same areas. He's not getting them at the same time in the shot clock. I mean, a lot of times they're late in the shot clock when the play is breaking. You know, when the defense is, you know, as pretty much won the play, but the play breaks down at the end of the shot clock, and he gets a shot there. I mean, or it's a desperation three or whatever. He's not getting the same shots that he used to get. Kevin Durant's getting those shots now. He's getting those shots, man. You know, again, like I say, it's not a surprise at all because look, they're still playing with one ball as far as I can tell. I mean, there's only one ball out there. There's only 48 minutes on that clock. They didn't add 12 minutes to the clock where Klay can still get his 20 to 25 points and Durant can get his 30 and Steph can get his 30 on an every night basis now. I mean, they still one ball out there. You can't pass one to Klay and pass one to Durant and both of them shoot on the same play. It's not gonna work like that. Not gonna work like that. And it's taking a toll on Klay. It's been a hot topic really about him. Where has he been? Well, that's the answer. I mean, Klay Thompson. I mean, he's not obvious. Just all of a sudden a worse player than he was last year. He's just not getting the same shots. He's just not getting them, man. So, you know, I kind of thought that it was going to work out that way, and I kind of thought maybe one of those guys was going to be probably looked at being traded. And obviously, you're not going to trade Kevin Durant. Now, of course, Kevin Durant still has to sign back with them after next season, but you know, they win the championship here or win it next year, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think Kevin Durant's going to stay there more than likely. Of course, you never know. But I think Klay Thompson's on his way out of Oakland. I mean, that's going to put that out there. Not sure exactly when it's going to happen, but you know, I think they've got guys waiting in the wings that can kind of play for him anyway right now. When you talk about Patrick McCaw that can come off the bench, I think they like this guy. I think he fits the mold. I don't know if he's the shooter that Klay is, but you know, when you got a guy like Durant, man, that can do what he does, whoever plays that two guard is going to be all right. Steph on the other side, Durant on one side, and then you got Draymond Green that kind of sets things up from his position as well. Whoever you put at that two spot's going to be fine. Don't be surprised at all if Klay Thompson's gone here in the next year or so, and they, you know, I don't know, maybe find them some help under the goal, man, you know, down in the paint or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. But anyway, we move on past that. Like I said, Klay Thompson's going to be huge in this series. What is he going to do? What is Steph going to do? I mean, we saw it last year in the finals where Cleveland was able to kind of bully him up. They were kind of able to get physical with him. And we saw, we saw that come to a head, man. We saw that. We saw the frustration from Steph Curry like we haven't seen before in that game 6. We saw it, man. We threw that mouthpiece. man, I thought that was Madison Bumgarner, from the Bay Area. It looked like more like Madison Bumgarner turned into a right-handed pitcher or whatever. That man threw that fastball. Spit flying everywhere off his mouth protection, man. It was, that was classic. Steph Curry was frustrated to the max. A lot of that was the way the game was called. The games were just not called the same way in the playoffs, in the finals, especially as it is in the regular season. We saw it hurt him in the Oklahoma City series as well. We haven't seen it hurt him this year because they haven't played anybody. And that's another thing. We talk about Golden State getting to this point. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't deserve this or anything like that. And I'm not trying to bash Golden State. This is not what this is. But I'm hearing people saying, just going crazy about them going undefeated. Well, who have they played? I was a little surprised that Utah didn't get a game. I really thought the Jazz would be able to, but they weren't able to do it. But without Kyrie, oh man, how did I mess that up? Kawhi Leonard. Without Kawhi Leonard and Tony Parker, and then LaMarcus Aldridge, pretty much you might as well say he wasn't there either, even though he was on the court. Man, how was San Antonio going to win a game in that series? This wasn't going to happen, man. So I hated to see that, and I think if you Golden State, to me, you got to be a little bit worried about that because you haven't been tested. You have not been tested at all in these NBA playoffs. Now, Cleveland could have said that as well up until last week in Game 4 when Boston pulled the surprise on them in Cleveland. Cleveland needed that, man, and I think that's going to help them a little bit in this series. I really do. I think it's going to help them a little bit. It kind of allowed them to refocus a little bit, to let them see, look, we're not invincible. We can be beaten. And we got to go and step our game up, man. And you couldn't have come at a better time so they can get ready for Golden State. So we'll see how it plays out. But, Steph Curry, the physicality, it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Does it play out like it did last season? If it does, Golden State's going to they're going to have a problem. They're going to be in trouble, man. Just the same way they were this time last year. So we kind of looked at Golden State, man. We know what Steph Curry and those guys can do on the offensive end. Biggest question for Steph Curry, of course, though, is his defense. And no matter what, if Steph Curry puts up 30, 35 points, can Kyrie Irving do the same thing? Well, absolutely he can. Absolutely he can. It kind of even things out. So I don't know how they're going to play it as far as, who's going to guard who most of the time. I would expect that if Steph is, clicking early, especially if he's able to kind of get in the lane and get some other guys involved, I think maybe you'll see J.R. Smith and Shumpert maybe switch to him a little bit. But I guess for the most part, it'll be Kyrie Irving. That matchup's kind of going to be a wash, man, because Steph's not going to defend Kyrie very well on that end, and Kyrie's not going to defend Steph very well when Golden State has the basketball. So it's going to be a wash. But it's going to see who's hotter, who's going to be able to knock down shots a little bit more. To me, I think I expect Kyrie to be a little bit better at that, because I think Kyrie, especially if this series is called, they allow them to play more like they did like last year. Kyrie Irving will be more effective, because Kyrie Irving is used to that a little bit more than Steph Curry is, and I'm not sure exactly why that is. I don't know, but Kyrie seems to me to be the guy that can kind of adapt to that a little bit better. That's just my opinion. That's not saying Steph is going to be absent or anything like that. But I just think if this series is physical, if they allow it to get physical, they allow those guards and, whoever to kind of put their hands on them a little bit as they get in the lane, to me is advantage Kyrie Irving, because he can finish. I think he's a little bit stronger than Steph Curry, even though, Curry definitely bulked up a little bit over the summer after last year's loss. Still, I have to give the advantage slightly to Kyrie Irving. We look at the other guard spots. J.R. Smith, man, of course, he's streaky. He's going to have to be big, though. They're going to have to get something out of him. But the good thing about it, if you're a Cleveland fan, is you got options now. You got Kyle Korver that can come off the bench and knock down 3-point shots. Now, he's not going to get his own shot. I mean, if you're going to, don't expect him to do that, but he shouldn't have to. He shouldn't have to do it. If he's kind of leave him open in the corner, or top of the key or whatever, then he's going to have his opportunity to make his presence felt as well. You talk about Sean Livingston coming off the bench, Darren Williams coming off the bench for Cleveland. Who's going to have the upper hand in that? I would have said a few weeks ago, no doubt, Sean Livingston until we saw Darren Williams just go off in Game 5 against Boston, man. Kind of taking advantage of that fountain of youth. He found it. He found it, man, and looked really good. Can he continue that? I don't know. I wasn't really a huge, that big a fan of that. That move to get him. I thought it was an okay move, but it wasn't an earth-shattering move. But if he can play like he played in Game 5, and then he could be huge in this series. He's gonna have to give them something in this series off the bench. You can't play Kyrie Irving 45, 46 minutes and expect to win this series. He's gonna have to be able to be fresh at the end of games, and that's gonna take Darren Williams doing what he does. It's going to take he's going to have to really step it up, man, and play well. Again, I'm going to have to give the advantage, slight as it may be. I'm going to give it to the Cleveland Cavaliers at the guard spots. I'm going to give it to them. It should be interesting to see how this thing plays out, man. Can Steph get those shots that he likes to get? Will the referees, will they let some of that physicality slide like they did last year? Can Kyrie Irving, match him point for point? It's going to be very interesting. Man. And we're going to see how it plays out here in just a couple of days. So, again, like I said, this is just the first podcast of 3. Talked about the guard play in this one. Next time up, we're going to talk about the front court, the forwards, man, the bigs, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, JaVale McGee, Tristan Thompson. Who has the advantage there? Kevin Love, can't forget about him. Kevin Love is going to be huge in this series. I mean, what he does, I don't expect him to average 24.5 points a game like he did against Boston. I don't see that. So somebody's going to have to pick his slack up. So we'll talk about that in the next podcast. And then after that, the next one after that, we'll kind of break everything down, man. Talk about the bench a little bit more. Kind of talk about strategy, what Cleveland needs to do to win this series, what Golden State needs to do to win this series, and then of course we'll have a prediction for you. I've already pretty much made up my mind, but I'm not going to reveal it until that third podcast. So you just have to listen in if you want my opinion on it. Anyway, I am Kerry Wood, Mr. Sports and Swag. Find me at Twitter at Sports and Swag or at Mr._Sports and Swag. You can find us on Google Plus. Man, like that Facebook page. Instagram. Man, we're everywhere. Like I said, we are everywhere. And again, Please check us out on social media. And, of course, please check out sportsandswag.com. Anyway, I am Kerry Wood. Until the next time, I am out.